Welcome to another Nucida training session to get more familiar with Xray. As a part of this tutorial, we'll be trying to understand the defect coverage or defect mapping in Xray, where we'll be starting with enabling the defect mapping issue type in the Xray, linking the defects to the test and the requirement. If you would like to have a quick list of the same, we can pretty much do it with help of defect mapping in Xray. So to get started again, we must enable this option from the project settings, where you would find the section called as apps, and if you open the app section here, you will find the Xray specific settings to configure that. Now, here in our previous tutorial, we did the same steps to configure our test coverage measurement. Right below that, you have another option called as defect mapping, and you need to tell the Jira or Xray that, which issue type will make it as a defect in your project. And if I link it, what exactly would it make sense as? So I'll be calling out the bug issue type to map all our defects to that of the requirement, and the test for the test execution. You can establish relationship with any of them, right? The test execution, the test, or even directly the requirement, which is your story. Don't forget to save this change, or else people just revert, and they don't find this happening, right? Let's come back to this and assume that I'm logging some defects here. So again, it's just common process that you might be executing something, and you got a defect, and you can create a defect right from there. But just now, to save our time, I'll be just logging some defect randomly here. So to say, for example, defect sample 1, and create a few of them. So I'll just enable this option here, and I would say the second one is defect sample 2 and create, and let's say I have 3 defects. So, here is defect sample 3, and uncheck this button, because I don't want to continue any further, and that's it. I've got all these bugs on my backlog, right? Because they're not in the current board. Thus, you would find my bugs right here at the bottom. Let's go ahead and get started with understanding that, how exactly I can enable this. So, I'll just go ahead and look on the Kanban board, where I have few tests here. Let me pick up one of the tests, for example, delivery boy, and here the relationship. What we get from Xray to have this defect mapping being done is called as created, okay, and again active and passive. If you are in the test, you can say, creates this particular defect, or if you're in the defect is created by that particular test. So I'll just click on the link issue again here, and I would say the relationship is created, or created by. Created by is basically for the defect, right? So, we are in the test, now. Therefore, the test has created a defect, and let me just call it out, defect sample 1, right? I'll just link it, and if required, you think there's any other thing which you would like to do. You can even add more defects here. For example, let me just link this particular item to another one. And say we got 2 defects here, so created another defect, and that is defect sample 2. And I think for this test we have not done the requirement coverage. Let us link the requirements, too. This test tests the development story, which is for, what is this for delivery partner? So, let's pull this for the delivery partner, and we also did the requirement coverage here, right? Let's go back to the story and see the behavior change on the screen. And right now, we just did the establishment with the test, not with the requirement. So, I would go to the requirement and add the defect there, too. Because right now, what we have linked is between test and the defect, right? We have not done it for the story and the defect, so to say for the requirement and the defect, right? So, let's pull the requirement out, here. Now, we should see the test coverage for the requirement, and we got the test here, right? It says 1 is passed, 1 is to do. Just like the last time, I'm adding the defect also, which is related to the requirement. So it is tested by this particular defect. What is the defect? Okay, so say for example sample 1 and defect sample 2. There are 2 defects here. Right, so this makes my job complete in terms of the defect mapping. And I'll just close this, and refresh, and see if there's any kind of transformation, which happens on my screen to have this relationship established. So, if I just come up on my screen this time, I should see the list of all that information, what we have for example. These are tested by these two things, and it is also related to this which is tested by these two defects. Thus, once those two defects are done, my requirement will be done as well, right? So, I would find this option right here, and you can pretty much do this along with that information, too. Let's also go back to our defect and see if that defect shows me any specific information about the same. So I'll just open a defect sample here and I'll come back here, and I would see that. Hey, I got the same information here, too. That means it has been established with the relationship that it is created by so-and-so test, and the test is also, this defect is also testing this particular story. I do understand people may have a slight confusion that, how come a defect is testing something? Because a defect is all about the requirement completion, so until this defect is closed, the requirement is not yet tested, right? So that's the reason we use this relationship. But the major relationship here is created by, and this created by relationship will establish the coverage measurement of the defects. So, you can do the association here, and this would come up as your linking, and you can pretty much see the defects being associated. And the relationship is what we use, called as created by a defect. MFP33 is created by this test and tests this particular story. So, this is how you do the defect mapping as a part of it, and it certainly allows you to do the significant mapping at any point of time. So that's all from this tutorial. Happy testing and see you next time.